Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Yoga Lattes. This is a beginner to intermediate level workout. It's going to be about 20 minutes long. So there's options to make things a little bit more challenging, or you can always skip with the first variation that I've shown. All you'll need is either like a mat or a towel to lie down on. Ideally, you would want to have something a little bit thicker for the stuff where we're lying down, just to protect your back a little bit more. But a thick towel is fine. So we are going to get started lying all the way down on your back. And just take a moment to acknowledge all of the curves of the spine. So feel the back of your head pressing into the mat, your shoulder blade area pressing into the mat, and then also right the back of the hips pressing into the mat. And then noticing the spaces in between. So there's the curve of your neck where there's a space, and there's a space for your low back. Trying to broaden the collarbones out to the side, so we're opening up through the front of the chest. And begin to take some deep breaths. So for this lying down work, we're going to use a Pilates style breath. We're going to inhale through your nose, and you can exhale really however you like, but either some sort of forceful exhale to engage through your lower abdominals, or some sort of breath. There's a couple different styles and techniques, but you just want to have a forceful, strong exhale. We're going to start by tilting the pelvis, creating a really big arch in the low back, and then we're going to round and imprint the spine, which means flattening out through the back. So you're going to arch and round through the back, and then tuck and press it in. And so you may not feel this, but it's using your lower abdominals to manipulate the pelvis and move through your low back. Now we want to hold in a neutral position somewhere between these two. We'll inhale to reach our hands up towards the sky, towards the ceiling, and then nod your chin to your chest. And so imagine like someone is pressing down through the bottom of your ribs, and that is the motion that lifts you up into this chest lift position. And then we're going to lower back down. So it doesn't come from pulling up through the head. It comes from pressing down through the lower ribs and pulling them in. And you can use your exhale here. As you lift up, think press down through the arms, exhale, and return. 2 more just like that. Exhale as you lift and lower down. 1 more time. Exhale and lower back down. Okay, bringing your hands out by your side for stability. Going into knee lifts next. So this is the beginner variation. You're going to bring one knee up into this tabletop position and then switch. Other knee lifts and switch. So you want to make sure your knee is over your hip and your shins parallel to the ground. If you're feeling really comfortable here, you're able to maintain the neutral spine. You can float the knees into tabletop and go into toe taps where one foot taps down. So you want to make sure you're still through the pelvis and it isn't moving as your knees are moving. And if you're feeling really good here and want even more of a challenge, you can glue the legs together and tap them both down at the same time. Just really want to make sure for this one that you're not feeling anything through the low back. It should all be your lower abdominals pulling in. And the more challenging part is where you want to exhale. So I really feel the pull when my knees move away from me. So that's where I want to exhale. And 1 more time. And then back up. Okay. So you can hold your knees here in tabletop. Take your arms up towards the ceiling or the sky. We're going to go into dead bugs, basically. So you're going to move opposite arm and opposite leg away from each other and then back in. So this is just like a crawling motion. And if it's too confusing doing the arms and the legs at the same time, because we all have those days, you can just do legs or arms. The legs are going to be a little bit more challenging because they're a little bit heavier. Okay, once you feel like you've mastered that, let's move into side to side. So again, left arm, right leg, side and center, and then side and center. And all of this is coming from the core. I'm stabilizing through my abdominals and then moving my limbs. One more time on each side. With every exhale, pulling the navel into the spine, and then set the hands and the feet down. So take a moment, realign, find those natural curves to the spine, press your hands down, and start to articulate, lifting from the hips up into a bridge position here, and then slowly articulate down. So in this position, I do not want you turning your head side to side. Just try to listen and move. Press down through your feet, through your shoulders, lift the hips up, and then slowly lower down. If you're feeling good here, you can start to add a lift of the arms, reaching them up towards the ceiling, and then press it back down. And lift up. And press down. If you're feeling really good and want even more, you can lift up a leg like we're marching. You'll really feel the glute activation through the leg that is pressing in the ground. And the key here is to move slowly with control. Think of grounding through your body, pressing down to lift up. Last time, this side, and then slowly lower. So we're going to alter our position here. If this bothers your knees or hips at all, you could just go into like maybe a wider position or more parallel position. Also, if you have sciatic nerve issues, this might be a little bit uncomfortable. So press down, lift your hips up, and slowly lower. So this is our frog bridge. You're pushing into the outer edges of your feet, pressing down through your shoulders. Let's do 3 and 2, and then we're going to hold the last one up here. So I want you to push the knees open for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Keep the abdominals pulling in. 2, 1. Hold it up here. Engage your glutes. Lift up for 10, 9. So this comes from squeezing my butt and not just from thrusting my hips in the air. 5, 4, 3, keep the abdominals pulled in, keep the collarbones open. 1, and then slowly lower all the way down. Good. Let's reach the legs out long in front of us. We're going to go into a roll up. So if you have tighter hamstrings, you may want to bend your knees. Inhale to reach your hands up towards the ceiling. So practicing, starting with that chest lift, draw your chin towards your chest, slowly start to round forward, 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 and then you end up seated. It's a really hard move. It takes a long time to get exactly right, so don't feel bad if your first one was kind of a little bit all over the place. We'll step the feet forward, coming into a Malasana position. So my feet are about mat width apart, my heels are in, toes are out, and I'm going to move into my yogi squat. So if your range of motion doesn't allow you to go down quite this far, you can come up to with your hips parallel to the ground or your forearms onto your thighs. We're going to go into Kali Mudra, interlacing the fingers and pointing out through your index fingers. And then you're going to press up and then sit back down as low as you can comfortably go. So if you start to feel anything in your knees or your hips, I would say do a smaller range of motion first. Whew. I think it's just sunshine, but I'm starting to feel a little sweat coming on. And then let's find about a halfway position. We'll reach our hands out in front of us and find some little pulses here. So I'm keeping my abdominals pulled in so my back is long. 2 and 1. Hold it down low here. Now try maybe just lifting one heel up and then switching, lifting the other heel up and switch, or maybe both heels lift and we do little pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, don't lose your balance, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, set the heels down. And let's step into the center of your mat. So if you need to readjust your mat or anything so you can see the camera, go for it. You're going to step nice and wide, about wider than your shoulder distance for sure. When I have my hands down, they're about in line with my knees. Feet are turned out again. Take a deep breath in, reach up. And then exhale, pull your elbows down by your side. And inhale up. Exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Okay, next one we're going to hold it down here. And then little pulses. So press and think about engaging through your inner thighs like you're trying to pull on the mat. 3, 2, 1. Now hold it down here. Lift up one heel. And then switch. And then switch. And then switch. Trying to remain tall, like you have some string through the crown of your head. And then maybe float both heels up and then little pulses. You can have your heels lifted or lowered for this. Try and stay low the whole time without losing your balance for 3, 2, 1, and then set your feet down. Inhale, reach your hands up. Okay, we're going to turn to our right. Coming into a 90-90 lunge. So it means you have a 90-degree bend at your front knee and at your back knee. We'll take our hands to prayer to start, just kind of lowering down and lifting up. And lower and lift. For 4, and 3. It's a lot harder on the grass, or for outside, it's a little bit less easy to balance. And we'll hold it down here, bringing your arms out to the side. Now pulse your arms open and back, thinking of opening it through your pecs. So you hold here for 8, 7. Noticing how my ribs are staying in, I'm just trying to move at the shoulder. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now this one might be a little bit more challenging. You might want to step your foot in a little bit and just slightly bend through the knees. We're going to be here and then straighten and tip forward. So it can be pretty shallow to start. If you're ready for full range, have your 90-90 and then straighten out, reach your hands up behind you, coming into our shoulder extension. Ooh. So we're stretching out through the front of the shoulders. Let's do 2 more. Down and then extend. And down, extending through knees, extending through shoulders, through elbows, and then lift back up. Okay. So if you know balance is not your jam, bring your hands down first and then lift your leg up. Otherwise, spring yourself forward. Try and catch your balance. If you need one hand to go down, you can. So again, you can have fingertips down the whole time for this one, or palms at the chest. And then bend your knee towards your calf and then reach out. And bend. And reach, and bend, and reach. 2 more, bend, and reach, and then hold it down here. So think, move your knee an inch away, and back in, and you should feel this right through the outside of that standing glute. Lengthen through your spine, and 3, 2, and 1. Lengthen the leg all the way back out. And over through our second position to go to the other side for our 90-90 lunge. Hands in prayer. So we're going to lower and lift. Lower and lift. Make sure you're breathing, inhaling, exhaling as you're moving. 2 and 1. Taking the arms out to goalposts and start to pulse back, opening through the front of the chest, keeping the ribs pulled in, lifting the navel in and up. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Now we're going to shorten our stance slightly to make it a little bit easier to balance. We're going to straighten through both legs, hinge forward, and then come back up. 90-90 goalpost. Straighten the arms, reach, find your balance, and then back up to that goalpost. And straighten and hinge. Push down into your toes, keeping the balance. Last one. Back up. Now we're going to move into our warrior 3. So you're going to reach forward and you're going to bend knee to calf and then reach out and bend and warrior 3. So you can always set your hands down if you're having trouble balancing, or you can put some blocks underneath your arms. Pretty challenging to balance on the grass. Really press down through your toe, lengthen out through your spine. Keep that hip dropped when you reach your leg out long behind you. Now we're going to move our knee back an inch and in an inch, and back an inch and in an inch. So we're staying in this crouch position. And 1. Now reach your leg back behind you, coming into a lunge here, stepping back into a plank. Pressing down through your fingers, reaching, make sure the neck is nice and long. And you can always drop the knees down or come down onto the forearms if this bothers your wrists. So you have tons of options here. Choose where you feel strong and where you feel like you can push into the floor. Okay, now we're going to go into some push-ups. I personally struggle with these a little bit. Just make sure that you're lowering your whole spine as one piece. You can always feel free to tuck your toes under and lift the knees up and do your push-ups there. I like to do tricep push-ups, keeping the elbows hugging into the sides, making sure that my head stays pulled back and I'm not thrusting my chin forward as I bend my elbows. And start to go to a count. Lower, lower, and lift, lift, and lower, lower, all, and lift, lift. And we'll go back into a child's pose here. Let your forehead rest down onto the mat and take a few deep breaths. Breathing into the space around the shoulder blades that we just worked. And maybe going into our down dog here to stretch it out. We'll reach the right leg up, back behind us, and then bend your knee towards your nose. And reach the right leg nice and long. And you can always come down to all fours, lowering the left knee down and doing the exact same movement here. Right leg inhale as you reach it out. Exhale as you draw the knee in towards the nose, round through the back, push the floor away. Inhale. And right knee to left elbow. Lower and lift. So your knee almost touches the ground and then lifts up in towards your body. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. And then back up nice and long. Draw the knee towards the right elbow. So again, lower towards your wrist, pull up towards your shoulder. Wrist to shoulder. And lower and lift. And 1. Reach the leg out nice and long behind you. Set the foot down. Taking a nice deep breath here, and let's probably go back into our child's pose. Give the shoulders and the wrists a little bit of a break. Take a few deep breaths here before we do the other side. And for our yoga breathing, we want to be inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. You can always exhale through the mouth if you want more abdominal engagement. So back to our downward facing dog. Left leg lifts. Exhale, draw the knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, knee to nose round. Push the floor away. Press into your toes. It's a total body movement. Inhale, reach. Exhale, curl. Inhale, reach. Exhale, curl. Remember, you can always go to that all fours position. Now we're going to go across the body. Lower towards the wrist. Reach towards the shoulder. Lower and lift. You're pulling the abdominals in towards the spine. As you lift up, you're controlling and then reach the leg back. Now we're going to draw left knee to left arm, lower to the wrist, lift to the shoulder, and lower, and lift, lower, and lift, and 1, and reach it back up nice and long, setting that foot down, drop the knees, sit the hips back and down into our child's pose. Okay, now we're going to step our right leg forward into a lunge, moving into more of the stretching portion of class, lengthening everything out, which is really important after working out. So you can let your hips drop forward, draw the shoulders down and back, allowing for a bit of a cool down here. And your breath is so important when we're stretching, when we're cooling down. We'll take the hands on either side of the foot, straighten out through the right leg, finding a hamstring stretch here. You want to feel it in the back of your thigh, not in your knee, not in any of your joints. You can always walk up onto your fingertips, or you can place some blocks underneath your hands if you're having trouble hinging forward. And feel like with every exhale, you're hinging yourself closer over the leg. We're going to bend the knee. Tuck the back toes and step the right foot back. So that was one side. Now we're going to pedal back and forth, bending into one knee and then the other, stretching out through the calves, and then step your left foot forward between the hands, coming into a lunge, low lunge, so it means our back knee is grounded on this left side. The shoulders draw down away from the ears. Our abdominals are still lifted.
You want to be opening through your hip flexor. So if you lean too far forward and this just becomes a low back stretch, so I'm a little bit flexible through, well, my pelvis is anteriorly tilted, so I always kind of lean back and think of stacking my hips over my back knee, and then I get a better stretch through the front of my right hip flexor on this side. We'll take one more deep breath and have one hand down on either side of the foot, lengthening through your front leg, finding the hamstring stretch on this side. And make sure to drink water, after the workout to help flush everything and keep you hydrated. This is all about taking it easy and slowly building progress. It's not do or die, all or nothing. So just breathe and accept wherever you are today in your stretch. Then we'll come back into that lunge forward, tuck the toes, and step into a forward fold. So our back foot is meeting our front foot. You can shake your head yes, shake your head no. Bending into your knees even more than you think you need to, and we'll start to roll up one vertebra at a time. Coming all the way up to stack. Now we're standing tall, ready to go about our day. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. If you enjoy this workout, please share it with your friends and like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of Yoga Lattes.